In Q1 of 2026, we've collected $250,000 without a single Instagram post, nothing on TikTok, and just a couple of YouTube videos. If we zoom out even further, we've collected $4.5 million in the last 6 years, again, without a single Instagram or TikTok. And if you're curious how, well, ads, more specifically, ads to low ticket offers. But things are a little bit more complicated in 2026. And we saw that. And so we reached out to Laurel Portiè and asked her, hey, Laurel, can you help install your ads ecosystem into our account so that we're not just focused on conversion ads, we're focused on the whole 360 picture of getting in front of our ideal people and nurturing, providing value, and ultimately bringing our conversion costs down? She said, yeah, heck yeah. So that's what you're going to see here over the next month, because we have 30 days with Laurel to get this going. And we're going to start in this video, which is her interviewing me about our offer, our ideal audience, and ultimately why someone would care about what we're doing as it relates to call-free offers. So I've edited a couple of the sections out that I can't put public, but for the most part, this is a raw conversation where Laurel is just pulling out what she needs to for me to write and create our ad scripts, which are going to be the next part in the series. Enjoy.
Tell me about this new offer. It sounds freaking awesome. I think we have like very similar offers if I'm reading it correctly. Kind of tell me a little bit about it.
One of the things that we've been doing for many moons is coaching without calls. And I about 8 or 9 months ago, we went down the path of exploring what if we just like showed people our process, because everything we bought in the past around it didn't fix our issues with call free in general. So we launched a workshop as just kind of like, hey, we're just going to teach a workshop. And then it just kind of went crazy. And we're like, oh, interesting. And then we went down the path of like, okay, so if we're going to teach a workshop and people are really interested, why don't we just give them our whole system behind the scenes? And that led to us creating Call Free OS, which is less a course or a program and more a series of tools that help you create your call free offer, set your boundaries, set your rhythm, all that stuff, and then actually help people without calls. I've leaned into the over 40 messaging, like helping folks like myself who have kids, who have parents who are aging, and I can't show up to Zoom calls. I don't have that option. And I'm noticing in a lot of our audience, that's the same thing. Like people have got parents who have been recently diagnosed with something. They've got kids that are just really active, themselves. They just don't want to get on Zooms anymore. I think people are zoomed out. And so our whole messaging and our whole thing around this is like, how can we support people with not a single thing on our calendar?
That's awesome. I love that. That's why Lean on Laurel has turned into kind of more Voxer coaching, because it's just
Yeah.
So kind of walk me through like what does a coach free program look like? A Zoom free coaching program look like for you?
Yeah. So it's a very specific promise. Most call free offers that we've seen, been a part of, whatever, didn't really have a specific promise. So that's like the first thing. Like, I'm going to help you do this thing. Next, we refer to it as scaffolding. So there's a series of things behind the scenes that are actually helping as well. So be it existing training, existing resources, AI wizards, AI coach companions, saved responses. Like there's just a bunch of stuff that exists to support your client, so they're not relying on you. And then it's boundaries. So how often you respond, when you respond, the types of questions you respond to, what's covered, what's not covered. And ultimately, you're pointing people to the desired promise. You're there to support them, but you're not there to babysit them. You're not there to kind of handhold them. And you have the scaffolding behind the scenes to support them. So if they need a resource, they can find it without you because you have a coach companion. If they need something done, they don't come to you looking for help for the first thing because you have a wizard. They come to you for feedback after they've put it to the market. So the coaching actually is less, I need to respond to every single client every single day, and more so you are there for them when they actually need you. And so if that means you've got 20 or 30 active clients, it's taking you maybe 5 hours a week to support them at the most. Instead of, I've got 20 or 30 active clients and I have a call with them every other week. So I'm literally on 10 hours of Zoom calls. And then I've got to sell them via calls. None of that. So call free coaching is call free offer. So an offer you can deliver without calls. Call free sales, an offer you can sell without sales calls. And call free coaching, an offer you can actually like help them with without actually getting on a Zoom call. So that's kind of the three parts of it.
And what is the capacity that you can coach people in this container?
Yeah, so ultimately we look at it as a sweet spot of your enough numbers. So like mine right now is I want to work 10 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so 10 hours a week is if I split it between actual support and running my business, it's about 50-50. So I can do 5 hours a week with call free clients. And in 5 hours a week, I can support about 30 active clients. I could probably do a little bit more depending on the flow that people are in, but I like to have some buffer where if someone's going into a situation, it's like I have the flexibility to adapt. That's also based on my enough number. If you're like, hey, right now I'm coaching 20 hours a week, if I could get coaching down to 10 hours a week, it's like, cool, we still have, more scale opportunity there. And then the other side is like money made. So the freedom number is being both. Most of who I'm speaking to is like, you're above the 5K range. So you're not like a new coach. If you're like a new coach, you could hop into call free OS and it will still save you a ton of time. But ultimately, I'm looking for someone that's like, you've got some clients, you've been doing this enough times, you really do hate Zoom or Zoom sessions. Like you have that experience where you're like, this is not for me. And if you can cut your Zoom hours in half, I've just gotten a significant portion of your life back. And then the other thing is if folks just calculate what their effective hourly rate is, and a lot of times you're spending 60 minutes on a Zoom call with someone that could have been accomplished with a 5 minute back and forth. And so you're filling the 60 minutes because that's the value that they're paying for. And the reality is your life is just full of wasted time. And how it relates to our audience then is at 40, it's probably a little bit earlier. It's probably like around like 35-ish. I think most folks start to think, okay, wait a minute. Some of my friends are passing on. My parents are needing more assistance. Like reality starts to check in on you, I think. And you start to realize, like, I don't want to spend time with people I don't want to spend time with. This model is really good at that, where you can help the people you want to help, but instead of spending 60 minutes on a 5 minute problem, you spend 5 minutes on a 5 minute problem and have 55 minutes to spend time with the people you love or just yourself. Does that help answer your question?
No, it does. I'm kind of just like interested like for my own personal benefit, but also because
Mhm.
doing the content and stuff. So I've got a list of questions. So I'm just not gonna rapid fire them. We'll dive deep because this is where some of the best content comes, and you know this because you're a content creator. So first thing I'm gonna ask you, finish the sentence out loud without thinking about it. Just first thing that comes to your head. The real reason coaches are still stuck on Zoom calls in 2026 is.
I can't answer without thinking. For a lot of them, they've sold them. So
Mhm.
people have bought coaching that came with Zoom calls. So it's like, how do I stop doing that if someone's bought it, which there's an easy fix for. And the other thing is that's the way that they've been coached. So their perception of coaching is get on a Zoom call and spend 45 minutes or 60 minutes with a coach and leave with a series of action items and then go on their own for the next, week, 2 weeks, maybe a month and come back for the next call. It's like, here's what I worked on. Here's what I work on next. And that's kind of the rhythm that they've bought and sold. So that's what they know.
And why do you feel that that doesn't work?
It's interesting. I'll attack it from both sides,
Yep.
the client and the coach. Well, a client, most problems happen in real time. They don't happen on a coaching call. And so for me to experience something and then struggle and then have to wait 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, maybe even longer until my next call, I'm literally losing efficiency and effectiveness in the solution. So often I'll have to show up to that call and try and remember the problem that I was dealing with and recount it. So I'm spending a significant amount of my paid time as a client going over crap that I probably forgot and not actually getting the help I need. Versus, hey, it's 9 o'clock at night. I just had a meltdown on my kids. I want to send you this message and just let you know why it happened, what triggered me. And the following morning, you as the coach can listen and say, Got it. Okay, here's what I want you to do tonight when you're doing the bedtime routine. So that exchange took 5 minutes and didn't wait for a 7 day delay. I can actually like start having a better relationship with my kids tonight, as an example. And then for the coach, it's the same thing. It's like you're just stacking momentum for your clients. So instead of delaying progress, it's stacking momentum and actually helping them make progress. But it's also the forcing function of your clients having to articulate without calls actually trains them to be better clients, actually trains them to get better results, actually trains them to like get the outcomes they want and not needing you or a coach to get to that desired outcome. And the very like some of the boundaries we put in place, the platforms that we use, like there's all these like little things that just teach people how to ask better questions, teach people how to like fish for themselves, and then come to you with like actual meaningful problems or feedback or things that will move the needle for them versus stuff that feels like work or stuff that feels like progress but isn't. So that's compared to like if you're a one-on-one coach. So we have a lot of people
Hmm.
who are coming in and they coach one-on-one. But then we have a whole other group of people who like already realized they don't want to coach one-on-one on Zoom, so they went down the group program because they're like, well, that's the way to scale. The only way to scale is to launch a group program. And it's like cool if you're an extrovert, cool if you don't like mind having to facilitate and deal with different personalities all on the same call. A lot of us don't like that either. And so the idea of call free means you can actually serve more people and do it in a one-on-one way. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. And I don't think a lot of people, going back to your original question, like I just don't think a lot of people have like thought about that. We get a fair amount of people saying, I didn't even know this was an option. Like I didn't know you could coach without calls because they've literally never experienced it as a client. And so their frame of reference is, oh, this is what coaching is. It has to have calls. I think ours is an overall kind of restructure of how you coach. So we actually don't want a frictionless coaching experience. I don't want to coach via Voxer. I don't want to coach via WhatsApp. I don't want to coach via Telegram because that makes it too easy for people to send me stuff that they don't need to send me.
And then you become their own Google, their own personal Google
Yeah,
star.
I don't. So, when we first launched our call free offer, it was the hotline. It was like 4 or 5 years, no, 3 or 4 years ago. And the whole messaging was like, have Sarah and Justin in your back pocket. And sounds great, except literally that's the opposite of what we want. We don't want to be in your back pocket because that creates a dependency on us being there to support you. So our whole model is like, where can you actually put in intentional friction to get people to think and try and solve their problem, to articulate the question, to follow a specific set of best practices and submitting the questions, like that kind of stuff, so that you are not available 24/7. Now, there's some niches that we're helping people with where we don't want to put too much friction in place. So, like if you're a parenting niche, and you want someone to be able to WhatsApp a message in the moment, like you don't want to have to send them to a different platform. Like that may be fine. But in our case, that's an intentional decision, not a prescriptive one for everyone. And so our whole approach is like what are you trying to accomplish with your call free offer? What's the promise? And then what boundaries can you put in place that keep you flexible and available for your life? And then how can you support your clients without calls? And what does that look like from a platform, messaging rhythm, frequency, level of access, depth? For example, we limit the length of a question someone can submit. You get 4 minutes. After 4 minutes, it automatically cuts you off. So if you're trying to send me an 8 minute brain dump, I don't even hear the last 4 minutes. It literally just doesn't let you send it.
Wow, that's awesome. Because I feel like I am your ideal client for this because like I have, and I think a lot of people are just like me. We've been through every single coaching model where it's like, should we do the Vox or should we do this? And it's like every single thing almost ends up being a chaotic mess where you're ending up being someone's personal Google and they're not asking the right questions. And then when you don't answer their question in the way that they want you to answer it, they get really pissed off. How do you control all of that in the container that you're using?
Yeah. So boundaries before someone signs up are very clearly communicated. Boundaries are clearly communicated in the onboarding. Using forcing functions like We use an emoji key. So anytime you submit a question, you have to submit it with an emoji before the question. So I can quickly identify this is a feedback request, this is a quick question, this is a big thought, this is a win you want to. I don't have to listen or read anything. I can just look at the emoji, which means I can batch. So if I've got 10 minutes on Tuesday and I got to take my mom to the hospital at 10 and I'm looking at my and I've got not it's 9:20 and I'm like, well, I don't have deep work time, but I can load up my app and respond to the lightning bolts because those don't require a lot of thought. And I can knock three of those out before I have to take my mom to the hospital. There's saved replies. So anytime I create something where I'm like, this would actually be helpful for more people, I don't say their name. I just say, okay, here's how I'm going to attack this problem. I save it as a reply. I can reuse that infinite times over again. And it's no longer just a one off response, it's now an asset. We have a pinned message in the communication channel. So it's like, again, it reminds them of the emojis, it reminds them of our response times. And it also says if you need 24/7 dot dot dot, go here and use Pocket Justin, and he'll point you to the exact resource you need and give you your next step, which is a coach companion that's trained on everything that we have and literally points people to the exact resource or step they need to do.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it really is about like communication upfront, making sure you're attracting the right client, and then scaffolding behind the scenes, making sure that you can support them. And then being okay. Like I really love from a sales perspective, I really love selling time-based sprints as the first call-free offer that you enroll people into. Because even with all that, sometimes you're just going to get some bad apples. And it's not bad apples like they're a bad person. It's just like the model doesn't fit how they want to be coached. It doesn't fit like how they need or want to have that relationship. And that's totally awesome and valid and fair. And so if you sell an 8-week sprint for 2K, after that, it's okay, do you want to keep going or do you want to stop here? For the right people and for the wrong people, it's okay, this was awesome. And then off you go. And so that way you're not rolling people into a container where the last thing you want is like when you load up your phone or load up the app, like you're dreading that client's name as a new message because you're like,
Mm.
oh crap, I don't. And then that creates that friction for you to want to actually help all the clients.
So these are so whenever you say like this coaching thing, like this is a short offer. Like this isn't like a
No,
year
then it
long
rolls
coaching
into
container. Like these
you
are sprint
can.
like
Yeah, so for example, we have an ongoing thing. So Freedom 40 is our higher price ongoing thing. It's like I want to help you for a long time. But I also sell something called Fast Track, which is 8 weeks where all it's designed to do is help you create your call free offer and enroll your first 5 call free clients. And that happens over 8 weeks. After you've got your 5 clients, if we fit, it's like, cool, let's continue on into Freedom 40. So the idea is you can limit the scope, the promise, to a time-based sprint, sell that first, and then move on to recurring, or you can just go to recurring. Like you can do that too. But going back to your original question of like clients pushing your boundaries, clients frustrated that you're not helping them or answering them the way that they want to be answered, it's like having that initial sprint is a good opportunity to weed those folks out.
I like that.
And I also think going back to the enough numbers, like most
Hmm.
people don't need that many clients to have a wildly profitable and amazing business. And so why would you have if you have a roster of 20 clients or 30 clients, like why would you have one bad apple? It's not hard to find another person to fill it. That's a good apple. And the part of the way that we instruct people to kind of roll out their call free offer is you enroll people in waves. We had someone that luckily has a team, but they signed 76 call free clients in an enrollment. That is the definition of like that would be literal hell for me as a solo like coach. Like
Hmm.
imagine onboarding 76 people at the same time. So we do it like 5 to 10 clients at a time. So what will happen is like it'll spike up because people are getting used to the system and they're kind of getting their feet wet and that kind of stuff, and then they'll just kind of go into the regular rhythm of like the cadence that happens with a regular client. And so you just kind of like do a little bit of that, and then you go like this. Then you go do it, and then you do next enrollment, and you just kind of like stair step up until the point where this is enough. I'm making the money I want to make. I'm working the hours I want to work, and every single client I'm working with is awesome.
So is it kind of like how Talking More, like every single like month he opens enrollment? Is it very similar to that?
You can do an enrollment like that. We've naturally been doing that just because we've been running our workshop rhythm for almost 2 years now. So we naturally have a spike of enrollment at the end of a workshop because that's the activation event. So it's the same kind of thing, but you can do it via a workshop. You can do it just with a hand raiser email. You can do it on the back of a custom action plan. It's just another way that we teach people how to get call free clients is call free action plans.
Mm, no, that makes sense. So, what's the most uncomfortable truth about the coaching industry that you're willing to say on camera that most people won't?
I do speak about like how group programs aren't for everyone. Like they're just sold as like the best thing. There's that.
I like that. Can we go into that? Because like I think right now one of the things that is still, popular in our industry is, where do most people go wrong when they're trying to scale like their one-on-one or not
Yeah.
even scale their one-on-one, but like the next logical step that's been told is, well, you should go one to many, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about that because I like this.
Well, there is if you go one to many, now you're in the path of hiring because one to many means you have coaches. It means you have sales, it means you have setters, it means you have higher cost ads. It like for a lot of people, it's a tremendous amount of risk. It's not just a single decision. Like there's like second and third order consequences of deciding to go down the group program. Even the fact of losing some of your one-on-one clients who now want the cheaper option. And again, I just go back to our target audience, the 40 plus. Like we are not high risk individuals at this point because every decision we make has a lasting impact, not just on us, but on our kids. And so if I'm like, I'm going to go down this path and I'm going to bring on a bunch of expenses, especially now. The irony is you'll see a bunch of high ticket coaches that are running group programs now, like really struggling because they have these expenses. Meanwhile, we're this lean machine and we're not paying any coaches. We're not paying any things that require cost because we can fulfill more clients in this container. But the other thing is like I've been down that path of having team. Like one of my companies, we had 18 employees, and like we never got paid first. We got paid last as the owner, and we ended up having to take clients and jobs to make payroll, despite them not being a great fit. And again, I don't want crappy clients in this world. I want good clients. I don't want to have to not pay myself. I want a freaking awesome salary every single month. It's not dependent on enrolling crappy clients just to get to our target numbers. So like us, I'm just speaking for myself. Like I have less capacity for high risk decisions. And the cool thing about call free as it relates to if you're at capacity at one-on-one, or even there's a whole other world here of people who have courses or memberships where you can just like not blow everything up. It just becomes a bolt on. It just becomes a little like add on. And all of a sudden, you've unlocked a tremendously large amount of revenue from your existing audience, or you've unlocked a tremendous amount of free time in your life because you've transitioned 50% of your call based clients to call free. And like, you don't have to go down the path of create curriculum, onboard coaches, do sales calls, have setters, create new content every single week because that's what a coaching program, like, none of that stuff matters anymore. It's literally just you've got this stuff, these training, these resources, whatever, you can help people implement it without calls. And if you're an introvert, you're a parent, if you don't want to make risky decisions, like this is a great way to increase your effective hourly rate, essentially.
So this offer would be for someone who is not necessarily like looking to scale, just looking to have a lifestyle business that gets them to their enough number and is easy to manage.
Scale is a word that our audience does not connect with. I actually asked them this probably 2 or 3 years ago, and most of them were like, I have no desire to scale. We like it's interesting. We're not talking to 20, like the bro marketer 20-year-old who's like, I want to get to seven figures. If they could just make 300 grand a year, they would be like their business, not them. Like if their business could make 300 grand a year, like they would be ecstatic. It's not. And they're looking at like the amount of things that they've tried, courses, memberships, high ticket, low ticket, workshops, webinars, and they're looking at like, how do I actually get sustainable monthly revenue in a way that doesn't cannibalize my life? That's this. So
So what
it's not scale. And I don't even, I mean, it's funny. I don't even think a lot of people actually even want a business. They just want money, want cash flow. They want to be there. Like this is the necessary evil. But what if it didn't have to be evil?
I like that so much. Let's see, question. Why doesn't just moving to Voxer or a Slack community fix the problem of a coach, like a Zoom-free coaching program?
Yeah, I mean, you can just bolt on access, but now you've just replaced live calls with a chain of someone voxing you and expecting a response. Like it's the scaffolding that allows you to do this in a sustainable way. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people have tried that already. They've tried the Voxer thing. They're like, oh, that sounds awesome. And then they're like, wait a minute, I'm getting 8 messages, brain dumps from people, and I have to listen to all of them to understand what the heck that question even is. Or this person messaged me on a Friday and I didn't respond until Monday, and now they're disappointed. And it's like, were they expecting me to respond on Saturday? Like, what's happening here? So you absolutely could just bolt this on. You could just have, or this, I mean, you could just bolt on more access, but the goal here is not access. It's actually call-free coaching and doing it in a sustainable and life-friendly way.
And so how does that impact the student or the client that's on the other end? How would you say it is a better learning environment, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like what does it do for the student? Because like I know for me, forcing my students to have open loop learning and being able to learn how to articulate an effective question, the feedback from that is like, wow, I signed up for this program for this, but
Yeah.
learning those two skills has made an impact. What do students say to you about learning in that type of container versus the way that they've learned in other containers?
Yeah. I mean, it works for some people. So the one thing I want to say is like, this isn't for everyone. And part of the magic of if you've got one-on-one clients is you can transition the right people to it. And then if it doesn't work, you can transition some of the back, that kind of stuff. But ultimately, it is creating less dependency or even like codependency, you could even say, on you, the coach. They're becoming more resourceful, the client. They're becoming more intentional. They're becoming more action driven. They're like actually getting the thing that they want, which is the result without calls. Most clients do not want, I mean, I'm just going to say universally, there isn't, I'm going to make this like, there isn't a single person on this planet who's like, you know what I want on my calendar is more Zoom calls. Not a single person on this planet wants that, you or your clients. So, yes, it will introduce some friction where they have to become more resourceful and they'll have to be more intentional and they'll have to learn how to ask better questions, but you can give them training on how to ask better questions. Yes, you have to become a better coach because you're not hand-holding people. You're helping them come to the conclusion themselves through questions you ask or through things, in your back and forth. You're not necessarily just saying, go do this thing unless that's actually what they need. There's a little bit of like friction around that, but once you get into the rhythm, I mean, it's magical. And like there used to be a flex in the online space, and there probably still is if you're like doing volume and high ticket or whatever, where it's like, look at my full calendar. I'm booked back to back with sales calls. That is literally my definition of hell. If I looked at my calendar and I would go work at a regular 9 to 5 if I wanted that. I open my calendar and there's literally nothing in it. And people are still signing up at a high ticket price. People are still getting amazing results. I can do it from anywhere and anytime.
You said something that I want to go deeper on. I'm going through and if I'm looking over here, it's because I'm looking at my
Oh,
list
that's
of
all good.
questions, which you were answering a lot of them just by like just us having this conversation. One of the things that you said though is this isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
What type of coach do you have to be in order for this to work? Let's kind of like walk me through expectations. Like what are some of the things that, maybe you've coached someone and you decided, you know what, this isn't a great fit because maybe your personality or what you want. Can you kind of
Mhm.
walk me through some of the people who make great examples of what this type of program would be for versus not?
Yeah. So if you're the type of person who like needs real time back and forth to come up with ideas, this is not going to work. So if we like to get on a Zoom call and we're going back and forth and like we're brainstorming, we're putting sticky notes up and like we're coming up, like that's not what this offer is. And so I have experienced that with a number of clients who are like, I get this, but I need more back and forth in a live setting. I need that space to come up with ideas and that kind of stuff. If you're like an extrovert and you feed off of other people's energy as part of coaching, then this you don't get that. There's no like reading body language because it's like a recorded message. So if you need to see someone's like facial expression as you say something and that guides your decision, then this will be a little bit more challenging. And if you like the group dynamic where there's kind of that shared experience, then obviously this doesn't work as well. However, one of the things that's interesting is call-free coaching is call-free coaching. Doesn't necessarily mean call-free community. And I love having community-based calls that are optional, that don't stop someone's momentum or progress because they're not waiting for a group call to get feedback. They're joining a group call where we can all jam on a topic together. We can all go down a rabbit trail together. But between those group calls, they're still having access to me or the coach for ongoing momentum. And a lot of the things where like the no call or call free angle, like if you take it at its surface value, you do lose some of the magic. But if you're like, hey, once a month, all my clients get on a call and we work on this thing together, all of a sudden you have the best of both worlds, which is like the shared group think and the community. And then you still have the progress between calls. That I think is kind of like the magic cadence of this. And what it means is you can have far fewer calls. Those calls can be optional for clients. They no longer have to show up and wait 68 minutes before it's their time to ask a 2-minute question. And you get the benefit of everyone kind of rowing in the same direction.
I like that. So that was for the person who would work with you. For me, like, who do I have to be as a coach to be able to implement what you're teaching for their students? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what are some of the characteristics that like would make a great fit for me to do some type of program like this for my
Mhm.
clients versus someone who might not be a good fit? If I'm
Yeah.
someone who maybe doesn't have all of my methodology out clear enough and like kind of talk a little bit about that, like who would make a great candidate to have this type of program?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it there for one of them. It's like you need to have stuff that you can rely on, or else you will be a bottleneck. The interesting thing about this, though, is it doesn't have to be polished. When we first launched our call free offer, we were pointing people to like Google Docs. They weren't ever in a course, they weren't ever in an offer. They were like internal things that we used. And we're like, oh, this would actually be really helpful for you. Go use this tool and come back when X, Y, and Z. So you do need to have some resources that you can point people to. It doesn't have to be polished, but they do need to exist. And I think the other part from a personality thing is you have to enforce and live the boundaries that you're setting in place. So whether that means, I mean, Sarah's a good example. Like she deletes apps off her phone on the weekend. So she literally can't even see if anyone has sent a message. I don't do that. But if you're going to say, I don't respond on Fridays, don't respond on Fridays. If you're going to say, I only respond to questions that follow this specific format, only respond to this specific format. So if you're like a real people pleaser, if you can't stick to your boundaries, like this will be challenging because for a lot of people this is new. So like you set the tone and you can put it in your sales messaging, you can put it in your onboarding, you can pin it in your thread, but like people will still push back. And if you don't enforce that, then you will end up with like supporting people in a container that you're not 100% excited about. That is a learned skill in and of itself, though. Like you can go from, the people pleaser answering all the questions at 9 o'clock to getting better at enforcing your boundaries and setting reminders. For example, we have in Call Free OS, we have a saved reply wizard where it will help you draft saved replies based on people pushing your boundaries. And you can let the wizard know how strict or friendly you want this response to be. So if someone is like asking you 3 questions at once and you have a boundary that says one at a time, you go and you save a response that says, hey, I'm only going to answer one question at a time. So can you please choose the one? that is most important right now. And then you can decide, do you want this to be a little bit more friendlier or a little bit more stern? You save that into your account. The next time someone does it, you click that button and it automatically sends the message and you remove the emotion from it. So there's like things you can do to get better at this, but ultimately you have to be the type of person who you're gonna set your boundaries. You're gonna enforce them, and that's one of them. So you've got resources, you've got the ability to actually enforce boundaries, and that you actually
That's a big
want.
one for me.
Yeah, I know it is
I
for everyone. It's so hard. That's part of the reason why I don't use Voxer, I don't use WhatsApp, because like I'm in a call free offer with someone as a client, which is WhatsApp. And I could see if I had to go into WhatsApp to correspond with this person and I saw client messages at the same time, that is a subconscious drain on me. I would be feeling like, oh crap, what does Laurel need from me now? Is it just a quick question that I can answer from Laurel? Is it an in-depth one? Does
mm,
Laurel want to cancel? Does Laurel want to say, is like all of that's going through my mind as I see a freaking number next to your name in an app. And that's like that cognitive load or that burden literally carries on you. Like it's on you until you check that message. And so that's a big part of this offer is like, these are the boundaries. These are when I reply. I turn off notifications. I have a separate email address. I have a separate account. Like whatever it is you need to do to make sure that you actually enforce those. So there you go. That's the full conversation with Laurel where she's getting everything she needs to write our ad scripts so that we can get these ads launched in, well, just a couple of days. So if you want to keep following along and see how this plays out, well, make sure you hit that subscribe button and we'll see you in the next one.